I think the first guy went on to play Barney Rubble later, so he did okay. My question is for any of you there. One of my favorite performers on the show was Thayer David, who did more roles than anyone else. So maybe you would please just jump in and give some recollections of him. Thank you.
Thayer was an incredibly wonderful actor and a sweet, gentle soul. And everybody knows that. He was just a sweetheart of sweethearts, and every time he would pass me in the hall, he would say, "Pray for me, Johnny." And that was it. It was great. Just wonderful.
I had a lot of scenes with him where I had to boss him around. This great hulk of a man. Of course, I was terrified because I was new on the show. And he would peer down at me like, "How dare you tell me to do anything?" And I don't know where I got the strength to tell him, go find some wood and a cobweb and so I could make some kind of spell. He was, who's here for the first time? It is amazing to me. It's amazing to all of us to see you, and thank you so, so much for being faithful or for finding us for the first time. It means so much. And Thayer, he was slightly overweight. He ate Cokes and chocolate bars all day. And he was a speed reader. He read 3 or 4 books. I've never seen anything like it. Very, very intelligent, well-educated man with a great sense of humor, very amusing, and as Johnny said, a really interesting actor.
And his real name was David Thayer.
We had a lot of scenes.
Oh yes. No, I was very fond of him. He was a wonderful person. I'm trying to remember something that I especially held friendship for, and I can't think of what something he used to do as an actor to help him. Of course, I was always having problems with lines and so on. And he didn't care. He just, come on. He was just like John here. Absolutely. Put up with me. But he was a kind, he wasn't the kindest man I think I ever remembered in my life. He was just a gentleman of the best sense of the word. A gentle person. And it was a shame that he's safe wherever he is. But
one of my happiest memories, I ran into him in Greenwich Village, and he wanted some pastries, not unlikely. and I was slightly intimidated by him. First of all, you know I'm from Minnesota, and I had these odd pronunciations of words, and he tried to get me to say forehead instead of forehead. And I said milk and water and hover. I said hover. I mean, he was always after me about how I pronounce things. So I was slightly intimidated about it. And my great Saturday afternoon when I ran into him, we bought an entire box of pastries. He came back and I made him some coffee and he ate the whole box. He was a dear, sweet man and very erudite, as we've all said, and just a sweetheart.
Now, who has another question?
My question is for Mr. Fitton. I would just like to say I'm very happy to be here. It's like a childhood dream. But because of you, I started doing community theater. And my favorite show to do is Arsenic and Olays, where I played Dr. Einstein in probably like 12, 13 shows. I saw you on Broadway doing the part. And I was wondering, well, not that part, but the show. Oh. And I was wondering, I know things always go wrong on stage, at least they did when I did it. I was wondering if you have any stories of things that went wrong while you were on stage.
Well, I like to tell a story about the Nolles as representing that and another play that I was in, what, 10 years ago, up in Canada. But anyway, Arsenic and Nolles, possibly one of the worst performances I ever gave when I first played it. I came in on, the Broadway after, and I had a terrible, that was always due. But it ended up being, the last time, I was on that show for a year, and I had another commitment even at the end of it, so I had to leave. We were in New Orleans at the time, and to leave that company. And I'll tell you why I loved doing that role, and how it was to be able to play a role for so long, and work on it, and work on it, and work on it. The character is a hilariously funny character, but he's also frightening at certain moments. And it was one of the best characters I've ever played in that sense. I got laughs, and I remember that last performance I gave. I mean, the audience was with me 100%, and then they were frightened. When I wanted to turn around and do something with the ants or whatever it was, I can't remember. But it was, I was able to stretch my imagination. That's what it did for me. It stretched my imagination of what to play. And it was similar. The other favorite role I've ever done was much the same way. On the opening night, I was just regretful. It was a play, I can't think of it.
Mass Appeal.
Mass Appeal. And I played the priest, the older priest. And it was a very interesting show, a very interesting play. I started off, didn't know what I was doing, but before I was through, it was, to me, one of the best, made my life worthwhile as an actor. I mean, my potentiality, I could boast about that forever. But my actuality is to be thought about, because I never, very seldom could I ever reach the heights that I felt I could do. Yeah. But given time, unfortunately, I had to get enough time.
Did anyone here see John in Arsenic and Nolles?
Yes.
For me, he was easily the best thing in the play. He was great in it. He was just...
We went up to San Francisco to see you in it. You
That's
were
right.
fabulous. We went backstage.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But you were wonderful.
Well, I had a great time with that show. And something else, too, that I feel very proud of as an actor. I may wave my own flag a bit, but when I used to see shows on Broadway, when I was young, we used to come down from Toronto, spend 4 or 5 days seeing all the hits. This is back in the 40s, 30s, 40s. And anyway, I saw so many actors, professional actors, getting good pay, and they were well known. Bored stiff on stage. Brilliant, doing your part brilliantly, but bored. And I could sense that. And I always hated, not hated always, but I mean, there was something about a lot of people on the professional Broadway circuit that showed their boredom after 6 weeks. I've known 3 or 4 professional people in my life who've admitted to that. They've had it after a month or a couple months or 2 or 3 months. To me, it's the very opposite. I don't know what I'm doing for the first 2 or 3 months. I fake it. It's not until I've been on the show for at least 6 months, relatively speaking, I mean, a long time. That's when I got to do my best work. And I could always feel that I've never played in a show for 12 years, but if I did, I'd think I'd be just as happy as a little lark.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. First time attending, loving the show. I just wanted to know, the show came out in the mid to late 60s, and I just want to know, did you think going into this, that this was going to be such a cultural phenomenon?
No.
At what point did you feel that you really finally hit the nerve of, you know, everybody watching the show?
I think tonight. Now, we used to go into the little green room after we'd done the show and watch the show that we had filmed the week before. And of course, as you know, we made so many mistakes. You could see us looking at the teleprompter, and you could see the mic coming into the shot, gravestone falling over, sets and the candles going out. You know, we just, oh God, we sit there so embarrassed to think that this was going on the air, and we all said, well, as soon as it was over, thank God that's over. No one will ever see that again.
Dan Curtis used to say that sometimes we after a show we were so embarrassed because lines were dropped. And I remember once I was doing a scene with Roger Davis, and he came into the cottage. And as I opened the door, the window sash fell down. I remember just looking over my shoulder and thinking, oh, this window sash fell down. And we just carried on. But there were times when we were so embarrassed, and we begged Dan to do the show, you know, to cut and edit and let us do it again. And of course, that was impossible. And he'd always say, well, nobody will ever see it again.
Thank you, everybody. This has been such a great show, and I'm totally thrilled to be here, so thank you.
I'm back again next year. Burbank.